Hey there, friends. Dave Paulides, Can-Am Missing Project. There it is, Huck L. Berry. She made a big deal this morning. She went over, sniffed this picture, pulled it off, and said, "Dad, you better show this." That is her picture. She's the executive producer. That's her cape. And she got her summer cut. Yeah, you're all nice and cozy right now, aren't you? Yeah, it's a pretty girl. Yes, a pretty girl. Yeah, it's a good girl. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good girl. Yeah, she got her hair all cut. And then the funny thing is, yeah, she's all cut and pretty. Funny thing is, it's raining now. It's about 15 degrees cooler. Seems to always happen when I get her hair cut. And it's funny. But she's in a good mood. She's all happy. So that's good. Thank you for being here. Before I get into the two cases of missing people I have for you today, I'll tell you a story. Kind of has to do with mental health. I was watching a video made by a neurosurgeon. He was talking about life, and then he was talking about death. And he says, all of us are going to be there. And we really don't talk about it very much. And he said, maybe it's a depressing issue, but shouldn't it be something that we're ready for? Shouldn't it be something that we understand more about? And he said that there were many times during his 30-year career that he had to talk to people that were on death's doorstep. And he said that the people would ask for family members, a dog, a cat. And he said in the end, what we all strive for in life, comfortable surroundings, nice house, nice car, all of it means nothing. And I've known this for a while. I think when Ben took his life, I kind of looked at life like that. Because when he left, he had nice surroundings. He had a real nice apartment in LA. He had nice things. And he had put his stake in the ground in life, made a great movie. But in the end, the clothes you wear, the chair you sit in every day, the bed you lay in every night, how comfortable, how nice those things are, doesn't mean anything. So I watch that, I get in the car, and oh my gosh, I have talked to a lot of people about grief, some people really close to me. And if you've had serious grief, you've had somebody ultra close to you pass away, the grief will hit you in waves. Hard to explain. It's like everything will be fine. 3 hours later, it's like this wave hits you and is all-encompassing. Hard to get away from. And then about the time you think that you've overcome it, it hits you again. And as hard as it is for me to overcome it, I can only think that if you had severe depression, I don't know how you would get away from it. I'm driving along, like about an hour after I watched this neurosurgeon. And certain songs that I haven't heard in years, one of them comes on. It's called Superman. Came out in 2001. And I can remember being in the car going to a hockey game. And the family sitting in the car singing that song. And we kind of made fun about, oh yeah, looking at the kids saying, yeah, it's hard being you guys, isn't it? And Ben would say stuff like, hey, I gotta go play a hockey game, that's hard. And wow, the universe just pulled the ground out of me, then pulled over to the side of the road. I thought, holy cow. Why'd you do that to me? I don't know. But I know that a lot of people out there have depression, serious depression. I don't. 90% of the time, 95% of the time, I'm really good. And then there are these odd times I can't get away from it. Yeah, it centers around Ben. And I know everyone said, oh yeah, you'll get over it, it'll pass. Today it doesn't seem any better than the first day. But I do everything I can to get back on the treadmill of life and pound myself away, doing something meaningful to get away from the feelings. And it works for me. And people would say, Dave, you're not addressing it, you're not facing it, you're not compartmentalizing it. I get it. I know. I have a really, really good friend right now that lost someone, greatest person in the world. She lost one of the greatest. She's having the same issues. I talk to her all the time. She's going to a grief counselor. She says, I think it's helping. Yeah. Life isn't easy. Life isn't easy. But the good parts of life are really good. And that's what we got to live for. And that's what we have to strive for. The sun's going to come up tomorrow. It's going to be a good day. I've got to wake up in the morning because Huck, I have to feed her. I have responsibilities to her, to you. You expect a video every other day. I'm glad to do it. But trust me, folks. You guys out there that send me the notes about mental health, I'm pulling for you every day. I'm no better than you. We're all a little different. And we're all just trying to live in this world. Be a good person. Support one another. Listen twice as much as you talk. And give your friends that compassionate ear. And now, what I'll do is I'll turn myself around and talk about a couple cases here. Many, Nah, not that many. A few years ago, I did a video. I said one of the things I've been tracking for several years is the disappearance in the same general area of people with the same name. Dave, what do you mean? I mean, let's talk about an area, a big city, 700,000, 800,000. And two people disappear with the same name. And I don't mean John Smith. No, I don't mean that common of a name. I mean, it's pretty weird. I started to pay attention to it. And then I did a video where two people disappeared with the same name. I thought that's weird. Is that the matrix shifting? Did they pull the wrong one the first time and they're getting the right one now? I don't know. But pay attention to this video, because that's what applies here, folks. The name of the first person here and the name of the second person are the same name. David Allen, 36 years old, went missing March 26, 2005. Remember I told you about people being good people that seem to disappear? That was Dave. His nickname was Big Dave, 6'4", 280. Huge man. Born February 26, 1969 in Endicott, New York. He moved with his family to Florida, graduated from Sarasota High School. In 1989, he moved with his parents to North Carolina. And then in 93, he moved to Nikiski, Alaska. And he was a member of the Nikiski New Hope Christian Fellowship. Highly dedicated church member. His friends and his family said he would do anything to help somebody else. As a job, he had a long-time job and was an employee of the Willow Street Auto in Kenai. He lived in the 5,000 block of Independence Street in Nikiski. He lived alone. And he was a lifelong diabetic, and he took medication for that. Other fringe articles said that he had other medical issues, but I couldn't get those confirmed in any reputable reports, so I'm not going to say them. But he was a diabetic. He did take medication. Now, Dave was last seen at his residence on March 26, 2005 by neighbors. There was a rumor he was seen a week later in Soldotna, but that wasn't confirmed. And he was reported missing April 14th, 2005, because he lived alone. That was one of the primary reasons for the delay in the reporting. He usually drove a pickup belonging to his business, a 1984 F-250 diesel pickup, registered to the business, not to him. So he's reported missing in April. Nobody has an idea where he went. And then on May 11th, his vehicle was found along the Sterling Highway in Cooper Landing, adjacent to the Resurrection Pass trailhead. The truck was not associated with any missing person by running the license plate. And they finally figured it out July 8th that it was last driven by him. Just after the truck was found, the Alaska State Troopers, in conjunction with Alaska Mountain Rescue Dogs, went to Resurrection Pass and searched with the direction of the troopers. And then a team of rescuers were flown up to the site and walked back down. 3 days were sent in the area and they found nothing. On August 15th, David's parents flew to Anchorage and into Nikiski to help be part of the search. They'd flown in from Florida. On October 14th, troopers went with the parents and the mountain rescue group to search one last time that Resurrection Pass area. The troopers confided in the press that David's vehicle was found stuck in a mud road near Gwynn's Lodge in Cooper Landing near Resurrection Trailhead. They said it was stuck there. They found a tire iron and his shirt laying on a stump nearby. When they interviewed the parents said that they were holding on to a slim hope that he might be alive somewhere up there because the weather hadn't been bad. But searchers and canines again found nothing. Resurrection Pass. I want you to look at this picture that I found on the web. It's a trail sign. Cooper Landing, that's where his truck was found. Devil's Pass Cabin. Well, that's not real good. I looked all around, I couldn't find anything about this cabin. But I did look around and I found some stuff about Resurrection Pass. It's a 38-mile trail through the Kenai Mountains, and it stated it's one of the most popular multi-day backpack treks in that region of Alaska. They said it's ultra beautiful. The trail links gold mining areas with Hope and Cooper Landing. And they said it was also popular in the winter with cross-country skiers. They advertise, I guess it's the U.S. Forest Service, that you can schedule night stops at campsites along the way, and there's also some rustic cabins with bunk beds, table, and a heating stove that are near some lakes, and these cabins have canoes and rowboats. Now that is pretty cool. I've never hiked into an area that nice. Searchers found no evidence that Dave made it to any of those cabins, or even where he might have went from that vehicle, but it was headed towards that trailhead. Technically, no contact had been made with him since March 26th. NABS, which is the United States retrieval group for DNA, and they hold the DNA for missing people. Dave has a NABS case, so he's confirmed still missing. His parents went home frustrated, depressed, not knowing what happened to their son. He had lived in Nikiski about 10 years when this happened. The thought was that he knew the area. So here is Anchorage. This is where he lived in Nikiski. This right here is called Cook Inlet. Nikiski, this is where he lived in Kenai. Where he worked in Kenai at the auto shop. And then this is the place where they found his car, about an hour and a half away, kind of in the middle of the woods. So, I told you I've been doing my research on Alaska thoroughly. The number of people that have been missing in this corridor of Cook Inlet is off the charts. Off the charts. And it's not just one thing. No, it's not people like Dave that drove in and got their car stuck. Even though I have told you about other people like that. One lady down near Denali, almost the exact same thing. She's the one that left the baby in the car and took off walking, car stuck in the mud. She was never found. Very similar. So what happened? What's happened here? I wish I knew. But there is a reason I'm telling you this story. Because of the name. And I'll tell you another story. The same name. So David Allen, I just told you, disappeared March 26, 2005. David Allen. 22, disappeared July 25th, 1973. So 25, 26, 27, 32 years before David Allen disappeared, this David Allen disappeared. Now this David Allen, only 22 years old, from Altadena, California. Altadena, if you look at a map, is just north of Pasadena, and it sits adjacent to the Angeles National Forest. Nice area. Now in the summer of 73, David got a job working for a place called Camp Denali, inside Denali National Park. Wow, I did my research on it. I was stunned. I'll tell you about it in a second. It's a high-end wilderness retreat with guided excursions. Now, the camp said that this David was very aware of the area around the park, the Denali region, the national park. There are 19 guest cabins at Camp Denali. It's a fly-into resort. Now, hold on your pants. So if you and your wife, or you and your husband, want to go and spend a night there, whoo, $2,800 a night, $1,400 per person. Oh yeah, yeah, pricey, eh? They provide. The site said that they provide active learning experiences. It's been owned by a family for many, many years. The core experience is living close to the land. They said they have 30 staff members. So if they have 30 staff members and they only have 19 cabins, the guess would be 2 people per cabin, 40 people. That's a high ratio of staff to guess. So Dave was working there for the summer. They never said exactly what he did there for his job, but everybody gets a day off at jobs like this. And Dave's day off was July 25th, 1973. And he told the camp that he was going to go take a hike. He'd be back that night. He went off alone. No personal locator beacon. He was supposed to return that night and didn't, and the camp called the National Park Service the next morning on July 26th. NPS was notified and they started searching by 1 p.m. that afternoon. This is one of the last photos that was taken of Dave. It didn't state where it was, when it was, but it just said it was one of the last photos. So he told friends that told different friends different things, but this is Camp Denali. And this is the area that he was going to hike in, a place called Red Mountain. Now there is Mount McKinley. All of this right through here are big mountains. Red Mountain, 7,000 feet in elevation. Nothing compared to McKinley, but there's the camp he was working at. So, tells a few people that he's going to go do certain things. Said he was going to go around Mount Eielson. Didn't know. So the NPS goes out with that information and starts looking, and they put a couple planes up right away that afternoon. And then they called for assistance from other organizations. From Elmendorf Air Force Base, they called for more air assist. Well, on Friday, July 27th, air patrols kept flying. Ground patrols started looking. They had 30 on the ground. And they had investigators trying to accumulate more information to understand where Dave went. This is the problem, folks. When you take off and you go hiking and you don't tell anybody, let's pretend you're laying on the ground with a broken leg. You're going to say, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I didn't leave a map for those people, exactly where I was going. I don't have a personal locator beacon. I don't have a sat phone. I'm just going to lay here and die because you're not going anywhere with a broken leg. Well, July 28th, Saturday, the search intensified more. They were finding nothing. They moved slightly, instead of Mount Eielson, they moved slightly towards Red Mountain, including Sunset Glaciers, McKinley River, Muldrow Glacier, and Moose Creek, but still nothing was being found. Search dogs had been flown in from Fort Wainwright, and they had 37 people on the ground looking. Another military helicopter and 2 airplanes were in the sky. That's a decent amount, but here's the issue, folks. The issue is, this is such a remote area. I'm a little disappointed in Camp Denali because there was nothing mentioned by the Park Service or in the news that, hey, they shut down half their business and they sent people to look. I didn't hear anything about them doing that. They might have, not in the articles I read. That's disappointing. Sometimes you got to give up your money to save an employee. Well, David is the son of Mr. and Mrs. Daniel Allen of Altadena, California. And they had flown up at this point. Now, investigators on the 29th had determined that David left the Eielson Visitor Center on Wednesday. He went there, walked around, checked in, talked to rangers. Told one ranger he was planning to do a loop around the base of Red Mountain. Well, NPS stated that David is familiar with that area and he can take care of himself. Those were their words. And they probably heard that from Camp Denali. The area that he was hiking is open tundra with some areas of fast-moving creeks, etc. Now, since the SAR Search and Rescue had started, the area had widened as information was developed. You got to remember this. David had been there for at least a month, probably 2 months. They said he knew the area. You got to believe him. So he knew how much ground he could travel in a one day. The idea that he's going to climb Red Mountain after noon at a visitor center, not going to happen. And he knew that. The idea that he's going to walk around the base of Red Mountain and get back in time, maybe. Because you got to remember, up in Alaska, this thing's light almost 24 hours a day in July. So his days are very long. But how much energy did he have to finish? They never said what he brought with him to eat. Now, Red Mountain is 7,000 feet tall. The upper reaches are very rugged. Last few days, the peak had been clouded in per the Park Service. It had snowed in the upper reaches. A ranger named Betts said that the search had been compromised up to this point by weather, rain, and snow. And they were getting very frustrated. They had, during their search around the base of Red Mountain, ran into 2 women camped at the base. Jenny Friedman and Beth Becker of Philadelphia. They said that on that Wednesday, they ran into David. He walked into their camp. He supposedly told them that he was planning to climb the mountain. Again, I think he might have just said that. I don't think he knew he didn't have the time to do it at that point. But that's what he told them. Maybe he was puffing out his chest a bit, trying to impress them, but I don't think he did. But again, it was something that the park didn't know whether to believe or not, and they had to search it. And they were compromised because it was snowing at those upper reaches. August 1st, ground pounders were pulled off the search. Dave's parents had been at the site along with his brother as soon as they heard he went missing. Now, I was trying to understand through these articles that I reviewed about what Dave was doing there to begin with and why was his interest. Well, Turns out his dad was a geophysicist specializing in seismic activity, and at one point he was engaged in oil exploration in Alaska. He wasn't anymore, but maybe that's why Dave had that fascination with Alaska and why he was there. No idea. On August 2nd, the search and rescue was termed. His parents were briefed by the Park Service, and they told the press that they believed everything had been done for David that was reasonable. And then the Park Service superintendent, I always find their statements interesting because a superintendent is really a highly political position. Denali is up there with the top 10 positions in the Park Service. Yosemite, Yellowstone, Denali, Grand Canyon, the top locations where they put their best people. Superintendent stated to the press, the sum and substance of it is that there is no concrete answer to what happened to David Allen. The search and rescue was thorough, but nothing turned up. That was the total answer. Now you would think if Dave had climbed Red Mountain and something had happened up there, it's almost a flat-out guarantee, folks, that in 50 years they would have found something from Dave. So I don't believe that. They would have found something of his day pack, his boots, something. No, they found nothing. So what happened to him? I don't know. And for the superintendent to come out and say there are no concrete answers, that's revealing. And I'm sure his parents had a horrific flight going back to Florida. I can only imagine their pain. So, I want to thank you both for being here. You know, the longer I do this, the stranger this world is. I mean, running into two people with the same name in the same state. And the state of Alaska, folks, does not have that many people. No. And granted, one wasn't a permanent resident, but they were working there. Both were working there. Both were white males. One was 36, one was 22, and they both disappeared in the wilderness. What's going on? David Allen. Be kind. You're going to run into people that are having a real rough day. And just maybe, you're going to say something that's going to perk them up. And that will mean everything to them as they walk away from that encounter. So let's do what we can for each other. In the meantime, check out my website, missing411.com. You can watch our movies, Missing 411, Missing 411 The Hunted, and Missing 411 The UFO Connection on Tubi, Tubi, right now for free. You can watch Missing 411 National Parks, Washington State, right now on Amazon. You can watch American Sasquatch, Man, Myth, or Monster on Amazon right now. They both have good reviews, and if you watch it, please leave a review. Please. Please. Even on IMDb, we need reviews. So, be appreciated. That was Huck snoring. You guys have a good day. Paulides out.